Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
In the arms of the angels, fly away.
Like this action just really hit.
In this dark, cold hotel room, and the endless love that you feel.
So true.
You are proof.
Anyway, you ready to go ahead and get into this shit?
I am all ready, yes.
Alright, hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part2, joining me today is...
Me, Steve Baxi.
Indeed he is. So, normally I actually pay attention and count these things out, but I forgot to. So, happy 400th episode of Geeky Gentlemen.
Hooray, 400 episodes.
It is getting ridiculously high up there.
I've been on here since the 200th, right? Or a little before 200.
Yeah, but well before the 200th, honestly.
Oh man, so I've got a paradigm of this.
Oh, definitely. You are a central part of Geeky Gentlemen, sir.
God, I can't believe it. 400 episodes.
It's kind of ridiculous. Like, no one will ever watch all of them.
Nor should they.
Nor should they. Because I don't even agree with half the shit I said in most of them at this point.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we have changed considerably.
Oh, certainly. But anyway, so normally we'd think of a topic, related to 400, but we're not doing that. We're going to go with the topic I suggested last time. So we're going to be talking about dwindling or dying or lost art forms. Because this is just something I find kind of fascinating, and often when I'm picking topics, it's just wherever my head is that week. Right now I'm working on the Rotlop fan audio drama. That's coming together really well for anyone that cares to wonder.
I'm excited.
Me too. We got all the voice cast in finally. But I'm working on that, and I'm like, audio dramas are kind of coming back as a thing, but for a really long time, they were not a thing. They just dropped off the map right when TV came around. And they're peppered between, when TV came around and the modern day, but you really gotta look for them, or it's very niche audiences.
Or so specific things, like Doctor Who audio dramas are always a thing?
Yeah. But it's that's a really niche thing, because not only do you have to be a fan of audio dramas, you have to be a fan of Doctor Who.
Exactly.
And so it's even more niche than comics, which are a pretty niche crowd these days. But yeah, so audio dramas were a whole thing at one point in time that were that was television, but then we got television and it changed. And so it still is. It's on the rise again with podcasts, but audio dramas were a dwindling art form. And then there are other art forms that have just been lost to time. That's kind of fascinating. And so I just thought it'd be an interesting topic to discuss, and thank God we have Steve Baxi here, the man with the background in aesthetics.
Yes. When you said this, literally the first thing that came to mind for me was movie serials.
Oh.
Because the thing with movie serials is that we didn't really lose them, because we still do serialized narratives and we still do cartoons and shit in front of movies, but we don't expect people to go to the theater every weekend anymore. And so there's no continuity of movie serials anymore. And so because if you really look back at some of that history, movie serials were expensive. They were big budget, and you always knew what movie was playing because of the serial that was attached to it, and like there would be long running connections between different actors and different studios and different movie releases to like pair up with different movie serials, and none of that. It's all gone.
Yeah, that's weird. I don't understand why that fell off in the way it did, other than
Movie serials used to be like the Saturday morning kids cartoon. Like kids wad up to go see movies just for the serial.
And it seems like television is the death of a lot of these things in the modern age, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, I remember there's this really infamous quote from, like, a big shot radio producer back in the day, and they go, oh, television's a flash in the pan, radio's here to stay. Phew! Boy, were they wrong.
Sure.
And it's just one of those things, like, I think you have television to blame for the death of the movie serial. Why would you go to the theater every week to see a movie you're not that interested in just to see the serial when you could just watch a serialized program on television every week?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's interesting to look at the way technology influences the decline of an art form, because even though television, you know, as the movie serial and as the radio drama, television fills a lot of the same, like, needs as those things, but its own limitations create problems for its storytelling capabilities that the other two didn't have.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Buck Rogers have a radio drama?
It did.
Yeah, and, like, how long did it take for a Buck Rogers television show? And more importantly, how long did it take for a Buck Rogers television show that looked as good as your imagination for a radio drama would?
Oh, no, absolutely.
Like, radio drama, audio drama, the thing that I found really interesting the more I thought about this, because I haven't told this story too much, I don't think, but, like, the Rotlot fan audio drama came because of a comment on an episode of Geeky Gentleman. Bill and I did an episode talking about Alan Moore's Green Lantern stories, and someone left a comment on that saying, I always wanted a comic about the blind Green Lantern. I'm like, well, all of his constructs are sound-based, so you'd be asking an artist to draw sound, and that's just weird to do. It's really hard to visualize, so you can't really see him in a comic or in a cartoon, but an audio drama would be the perfect place for that character.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then that idea kept turning in my head, and then I found, like, an actual good idea for a story to tell with Rotlot fan, and then I had to do it. But yeah, you know, part of what makes audio dramas great for fan projects is you don't have to worry about, can we really show this and have it look good? All you need to do is, like, can we describe events and put good enough quality sound effects to things to make your imagination work with what we want it to?
Well, it's so weird when you have a visual for something and you're able to execute it better with something like audio, where, like, Green Lantern just as a concept is a very visual thing. Mm-hmm. But with the way your story is working, it almost requires it to be more audio based. But then something else comes to mind is Star Wars is the way it is, and in heavy part works almost constantly with playing off its visuals. That, like, if you didn't physically see the scale of things, it wouldn't play for you the same way. But
oh, totally.
If you start listening to Star Wars audiobooks, there's so much detail that goes into that, with actual scores for the stories and lightsaber effects and multiple voice actors, to the point where it might as well be an audio drama. And I don't want to see a Darth Bane movie, because the Darth Bane audiobook is like a perfect radio drama.
Well, like, it's weird for me, because I tried twice now to listen to Star Wars audiobooks, and I just can't be sold on them, man.
That's true. Yeah.
To me, Star Wars needs that visual medium. It needs that visual connection, because just so much of what's iconic about Star Wars are the visuals, right?
Yeah.
So it's really hard for me to get into it. Maybe it's just that it's prose. Maybe I need a Star Wars audio drama, not like a novelization, not an audio book, right? Maybe
fair.
I need that for Star Wars, but just I've tried to get into Star Wars with the novels, and I just can't do it.
It's
But
true.
like, back to what I was trying to say with the Green Lantern thing is like it in audio drama you can be essentially scaleless in a similar way to the way you can be in a comic book. You just have to have sound effects for it, and we've been doing the sound effects since frickin' vaudeville. So it's totally doable. The thing with television is you can't be scaleless. A lot of television shows have a very, very obvious scale to them and are very limited by their budget because, you know, like you look at old episodes of Star Trek and half the aliens are just glowy lights,
Yeah.
which is ridiculous. It's nowhere near as cool as they imagined it to be on the page. I can guarantee you that.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, and again, with the same thing with the budget restriction for the movie serials, you said the movie serials had a bigger budget and were able to get away with stuff that the television shows just didn't. So even on the like the limited technology side of things, they were able to get away with more in the movie serial than they were on television.
Yeah.
Um,
And
It's
I
just-
mean, there's some kind of there's definitely something that's lost when you can't play off of things like audio and sound and stuff. Like the classic example is the whole War of the Worlds thing.
yes.
We're like crafting it to be like an actual radio broadcast that does something that like you just can't do with a movie or a TV show. Like the West Wing episode in the final season when it's the debate between the two candidates for president, and like it doesn't function as a normal TV episode. They play it and shoot it straight as if it was an actual debate broadcast that you were watching.
yeah.
You still don't buy it as an actual debate. But with radio dramas, you can kind of get away with it that way because there's no surrounding structure around it that like dictates your experience of it. You don't have to have like a lead into it.
Exactly. You can just open with stuff. You don't have to worry about certain contexts because, like Joe Frank did. I don't think he's still working. He did this really weird radio drama for NPR, and it was like a series, and it would come on at like 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. It would come over the airwaves. And the only way I can describe it is imagine a man in a basement with like a single naked light bulb hanging above him, the only source of light in the room, and he has pirate radio equipment and is hijacking the airwaves, wearing a tinfoil hat, and explaining to you his life stories. That was Joe Frank's radio drama. There was like, he would just tell these bizarre ass stories, like he was like a Bible salesman at one point, and it was hilarious, but just the context surrounding it was meant to just be so weird and funny, and it was meant to like, I honestly believe it was an entire program meant to like entice truckers driving across the country at night. I honestly like that they're just flipping through radio stations. It was like meant for them to just land on that and to be the only thing they could listen to. Because it was just so bizarre but funnier than shit. Like at one point he gets sent to like a super liberal prison and Shawshanks his way out of it. It's fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he gets sent to like a liberal prison, and the prisoners stage a hunger strike because they want to do more experimental theater, but the warden wants them to do classical show tunes for their drama program. There's a lot of weird shit like that. Yeah, it's knuck and futz, man. But like, yeah, that's exactly it. It could just be broadcast. You could just catch that, and it wouldn't really like make sense as anything else. I don't think that would work if you were just flipping through television channels and you just saw a guy talking and acting like a crazy person and telling a story like that.
Oh no, absolutely not. Because like the way a lot of our media works now is that it calls attention to the fact that it's fake.
Mm-hmm.
And with a lot of like these dying art forms, like people used to tell stories of how when film first became a thing and they showed that footage of the train coming, people ducked because they thought an actual train was coming after them.
Yeah, and it's weird to talk about this to transition out of the audio drama thing. There are certainly ethical implications to discuss here too, but
Oh sure.
circuses, traveling show, Barnum and Bailey's is done.
Yeah.
The 200 years almost, the greatest show on earth is closing its doors, man.
Yeah.
That's weird. And it's due to a lot of things, like social changes, the way we view the treatment of animals, the way that, you know, we've understood what's happened in circuses over the years, stuff like that, has all played a factor into it. But at the same time, the traveling show that was just pure spectacle, that goes back literally centuries, and I'm really hard pressed to think of anything else equivalent to it besides the circus.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much all of the Greek dramas were entertained and presented in a similar way, like a circus show that we'd see now.
Yeah, and like no one ever talks about the lost, or they're not even lost plays. We have records of the plays, just no one puts them on. No one puts on the satyr performances of Greek drama, of Greek comedy, where it'd just be a bunch of like men dressed as satyrs, like with masks, and they'd be naked and try to bang each other. Where's that experimental theater, damn it? But like, seriously though, that tradition of the traveling show, and like Barnum and Bailey's in that context of the old traveling show was literally the greatest show on earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
That act barely changed. Like, I think the only thing they ever introduced in that act was like motorcycle stunts.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was consistent for hundreds of years at this point.
And now it's closing down, and yeah, there are ethical considerations with the way they treat animals, and circuses have traditionally treated animals. I remember Milan at one point told a story that apparently like, his aunt or whatever owned a circus and had like a circus orangutan, and like flicked her off, so she maced it.
Right.
And that's kind of like, it's funny in a dark ass way, but that's kind of typical of the way animals were treated, and so that's one consideration that has really, come down on circuses and why they're not a thing, because turns out when you treat animals ethically, it's really expensive. Who knew? But it's weird. It's a lost tradition now. Like, this is a weird thing to say. I'm gonna talk to my grandkids one day and have to explain what a circus was. Because I'm going to be one of the I'm going to be one of the last people alive that remembers circuses.
God, yeah, I remember I went to a circus 3 or 4 times when I was a kid, and that's done now. Yeah.
Yeah, like they're not really going to be a thing. Like you have Cirque du Soleil, but that's like a whole different aspect. That's like a really high society almost kind of version of things. It's weird. That's a dying art form, the traveling show. I don't really know what else I can think of to say is picking up that mantle. Like, I know there are plays that go from town to town, but those are very limited things.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah, circuses are probably the most dramatic example of an entire art form, just for like economic reasons having to shut down. Because like radio dramas and movie serials and stuff, that's more a matter of just like we keep doing the same thing, we just get better at doing it in a more convenient way. Mm-hmm. Circuses are just on every level done.
Yeah, like between the animal cruelty things and then just what we've learned about like the stories that come out from them. Like, does anyone actually laugh at clowns anymore?
No. It's to the point where the irony of clowns being scary is not irony anymore.
Yeah. Like, no one laughs at a clown anymore because they're either creepy or they're sad.
They're creepy or sad. Clowns have lost their purpose.
Yeah, and that's weird. Like, what's the Zach Galifianakis show?
Which one?
Baskets.
Oh.
I don't know if you've seen any of that. I've only seen like a couple clips, but like...
Me too.
His mother paid for him to go to clown college in France. And so he comes back to the States after graduating and wants to join the rodeo as a rodeo clown. And he's in the interview, and the guy goes, "What's your clown name?" "Renoir." What the fuck? No, your clown name is going to be Baskets, because you just jump in the basket anyway, so...
That's awesome.
That's really funny, like, dark humor to me. But yeah, it's not funny because it's a clown. It's funny because it's a clown and it's sad. There's no irony to it anymore. It's just that is the context for clowns in this day and age. Like that. There you go. The art form of clown is now completely supplanted by creepy weirdness.
That's such a weird thing to think about, though. Of like, it's literally, clowns are literally designed to be ridiculous so that they can be funny. But like now, the ridiculousness is terrifying.
Yeah, because we've just had so much stuff come out about the way people who are clowns ended up getting there in circuses and carnivals over the years. But like, even if only half of them are true, that's still pretty fucked up. And then we have so much media that's like tried to deconstruct the clown as an art form, and it doesn't quite, what's the word I want here? It's deconstructed so much that it's hard to imagine it as anything else besides the inversion anymore. And that's bizarre.
Okay, so part of the thing with circuses, I'm not sure if you brought this up or not, but like, they're not like one type of act. It's multiple things. Like, it's juggling, it's knife throwing, it's clowns, it's elephants and animals and lion tamers. And so like, a circus dying isn't the death of one art form, it's the death of like at least 6 or 7.
I mean, it depends, because like, I don't think any of those individual art forms will go away, because you still have carnivals and they'll still catch a lot of this stuff, but it's not a show in the same way with a carnival that it is with a circus, right? I don't think the carnival's going to go away. I think things at carnivals will go away. Like, I think, animal rides, petting zoos, that kind of thing will stop, but, jugglers and that kind of thing will still exist, just it won't be as popular, it won't be as notable. Mm-hmm. Juggling is, I guess, it's never been like the main attraction or anything. Like, Penn Jillette juggles as like his introduction, interesting man, Penn Jillette. His introduction into the carny life was he was what they call, I believe, a howler, where he would juggle and yell and try to get people's attention to come to the carnival.
Right.
Just do so like, juggling was never, a top act in and of itself, but it'll still have things connected to, carnivals. But seeing someone juggle while riding a unicycle, that's something that was pretty much, while on a trapeze, right? That's something that was pretty much reserved for the circus. That wasn't something you'd see a lot of people in carnivals do.
Right.
And so it's this really weird distinction to see that whole thing of the traveling show. Like, carnivals are the atmosphere, the rides, the fun. Circuses are the show. They're a more active than movies or something like that, but they are a more passive thing where you're watching a performance. You're not there to just for the rides and the food.
No, sure. It's circuses, carnivals. There's a very particular kind of atmosphere and aesthetic with them that And see, this is the thing that happens when art form dies, is that our relationships, there an aspect of how people relate to each other has suddenly gone away.
Yeah, and it's weird because it doesn't happen overnight.
No,
It's been
definitely,
coming
it's
a long
generational.
time. Yeah, and it's strange. Like, I'm sure at one point in time it was weird or novel to make a clown the villain of your piece, but now it's just, so blasé.
Well, I mean,
It's
Italian opera, like 200 years ago now, did it, and it was the most remarkable thing ever, and now it's the most predictable thing ever.
right? It's hilarious.
Um,
But
yeah,
like
I mean,
on to,
well,
go
sorry,
ahead, go ahead. No, you first.
Sorry, I was just gonna say, like, when we talk about like how art forms die, it seems more often than not, with the exception of certain things like carnival and circuses and stuff, it's more about the art form turning into something else, and that always kind of bothers me because the medium is the message, right? Like if I'm reading a comic in an issue or on digital or in trade or watching a movie in a theater or watching it on TV, like these the way we're experiencing it is going to dictate very much so how we feel about it and how we interpret it and like how it's designed based on how things are going to work. Facebook has this thing now where everyone's obviously using Facebook on their phones. So when you click on an image, you only see like part of an image, and you click on the image and you see the full image. So now people are like creating pictures that have like a picture as a preview that says tap on it like it's a button, and then you click on it and you get the full picture, and like it's almost like you hit a button and you activate something. Like it just plays with the way we operate with browsing pictures on our phones. But it only works because people use their phones and the apps work in a certain way.
Yeah.
And so, like, when art forms, like, when a movie serial becomes a TV show, the movie serial didn't die, but it's not there anymore either.
Yeah.
So, I don't know,
And,
maybe
like,
that's just me, like, reaching about the whole structure of the thing. But, like, I don't know, it kind of bothers me when, like, the way you're supposed to experience something fundamentally goes away.
it's interesting to talk about like the death of an art form because some of them change and quote unquote evolve into something else, but that doesn't change the fact that when things evolve, you're losing something by transitioning medium. The perfect example of this, and you can look these things up. I think it's called like the Two Brothers or something like that. Guy was diving off the coast of Greece somewhere, Greece or maybe it was Italy, and he like was just rummaging through the sand, the seafloor, and he kicked over some sand, and just a face was staring at him, and so he like freaked out for a sec, and then he started uncovering more of it because he realized the face was metal. And he had to keep going back up for air and back down until he could unearth the whole thing. But he found two solid bronze statues made by the ancient Greeks that are like 6 foot tall and just ridiculously detailed. Like they almost have fingerprints, and it's one solid piece of bronze that's 6 foot tall, and there are no seams. Which, if you understand anything about sculpture and metalwork, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And guess what? The Romans thought they were amazing too, but they also knew bronze was expensive. So they had marble copies made and melted down the bronze. But also, guess what? We don't know how to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So changing the medium actively kills part of the art form, because now we have no idea how to pour 6 feet of solid bronze in a perfect mold.
Oh my, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Like the limitations of our resources to make art really kind of hard and make this a much more difficult discussion. Like the transition from film to digital is right now a back and forth discussion, but there gets to be a point where like the things and the chemicals we need to make film just dry up. and what happens then. And the fact that these chemicals have changed over time changes the way the films work. What happens when we have to, like years from now, people have to explain that film used, like, I have to explain to people when I talk to them sometimes that, like, no, see, back when I bought a DVD initially, there used to be, like, the full screen version and the widescreen version.
Yeah.
And people don't know what I'm talking about. Like, I used to say, look, so back in the day when I wanted to watch something, we didn't have a DVR, so, like, we went out and bought VHSs and, like, taped the show on the VHS. And, like, there'd be certain VHSs that are protected against it, and, like, you'd get unlucky if you got one of those. And people don't know what I'm talking about.
See, I feel like people should still remember the VHS tape. But then again, I was at work the other day, and we got this new guy there, and he's like 20. And see, me, I remember being 20 like it was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
But, like, there's such a generational gap, and just like I felt like such an old man, because I'm like, I like the new Planet of the Apes films, but nothing beats the original for me. And he goes, see, I didn't really think the Tim Burton movie was all that good. And I go, no, the original. The Tim Burton movie was the original.
Oh my God.
I wanted to slap the stupid out of him so bad. I cannot imagine what it is like to live in that world where the original Planet of the Apes film for you is the Tim Burton movie. But two, like, what is this life? Because there are so many references to it throughout time. How do you not know that there was a Planet of the Apes movie in the 60s? How?
I have no idea.
But all of that aside, just there is that generational gap where I'm like, how can you honestly not know about these things? Even if you didn't experience it yourself, so much stuff talks about it and is in reference to it. How can you possibly be ignorant to that? But I guess that's just kind of the nature of people, is if you do not respect and continue to practice and hone these crafts, they become lost to time. That's what it means for something to become lost to history.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. You know me, I love bombshells, and there's a bombshells panel for every situation. Hawkgirl in that book has this just amazing speech about how people don't believe in themselves enough, in the capability of people enough. So when they see the pyramids, they go, it had to be aliens. People couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And it's just this great idea on what if we just actively remembered in everything? Could you imagine where we'd be? Like, there's this really famous example of that where people were going through, archives of old Roman documents, and somebody found the blueprints for basically a toy that was the tenets of steam power.
Oh, shit.
The discovery of steam power, just as a, fluke little fun idea, happened during the Roman Empire. We didn't get steam power again until the 1800s. That's bizarre. Like,
yeah, that's absolutely weird.
Like, it was basically like this, there'd be like a pit for the coals or fire or whatever, and then there was like a frame to keep it from going anywhere, and some kind of like funneling process to funnel the steam up, and thing to put water in. But it was like this hollow ball that would get like hit by the steam, and it would float and twist and do a bunch of weird shit. So it was basically just a toy, a piece of fun little distraction or whatever. But they couldn't. No one extrapolated, hey, that's actually energy creating motion. We could use this for stuff. But if they had, just imagine where we'd be technologically in comparison. Because we went from steam power in the 1800s to, manipulating the atom in the 1940s. And that's just, that's the kind of shit that keeps me up at night, to be honest with you. But back to the art form thing, when a method behind an art form dies, it's really, really hard to get it back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to think of something else besides the Greek sculptures. Do you have anything where it's like, anything you could point to?
Well, I mean, there's like a lot of Japanese styles of painting and woodworking. Like woodworking hasn't gone away, but like the way that we had like those I forget what the word is. It starts with a K. But like these more like long form styles of Japanese painting, a lot of that we can't do anymore because the plants that we used to make the fabrics for them don't exist anymore.
Oh, that's
So like they don't absorb the ink in the same way.
huh.
And like part of the reason a lot of those older scrolls and stuff lasted as long as it is because of the fabric.
This is that weird thing where it kind of makes the perfect argument for conservation, right?
Yeah.
For just conservation and putting effort into every little thing because you never know what the potential benefits could be. I mean, it's not a revolutionary product that has changed the world, but Velcro was an accidental, like, what if maybe this thing for space travel? No, actually, that's a terrible idea, but hey, it's still kind of useful.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff like that, and it's hard to just contain this to art, but when you have an art form dwindle down and slowly fade away and the knowledge behind it gets forgotten, like, I'm trying to think of this, I'm trying to think of stuff where it hasn't gone away yet, but fewer and fewer people know about it or know how to do it. Magic?
Magic. And not like David Blaine nonsense, like old school escape artistry, like mechanical working and card tricks and stuff like that.
I don't feel that's a dying art form. I feel that magic's still going pretty strong.
It's evolved, but like there's a fantastic documentary. It's on Netflix about magicians and how the whole code of like don't share your secret got to the point where a lot of the older magicians started dying and their tricks died with them. And so we can do a lot of the stuff we see magicians do, but we have to keep reinventing the ways we do it because no one's like sharing this information.
Okay, see, that's not cool. I don't know, I really love the show Penn and Teller Fool Us. How funny, Penn Jillette's come up 2 times in this conversation. Penn and Teller Fool Us is probably the best thing to happen to Magic in...
I agree.
You know, since David Copperfield. David Copperfield was like the sweetheart magician of the 90s. But yeah, I think Penn and Teller Fool Us is the best thing to happen to Magic as an art form since David Copperfield's, just getting kids interested in it again. And like, that has really interesting things where occasionally they'll have like really young magicians on that now use technology in their acts. Like, I love this one act. It's just the most bizarre thing, and I could just imagine if someone did it to me and how I would react. But this kid took a cell phone. It was an iPhone. And he, like, passed his hands over it and handed it back to the person, and it, like, shrunk. It was like, it's like he removed part of it, and it was still their phone. Like, it still had all their apps on it. It was just like the object was physically smaller, but it was still an iPhone. I don't know how he did that.
That's really weird.
It's like, what? But like, that's, so it's evolving, and so I wouldn't say magic, but that's an interest. I didn't know about that side of it. That's really fascinating.
Yeah, so like
magicians are dying.
Yeah, so like it's not like magic is a dying art form as much as it's just magic is running out of ways to preserve itself in the same way, at least.
Yeah, and it's like there are magician societies, and stuff like that. I don't know. It's weird. So magic might be one. I think that one's kind of on the fence because that one I feel is still going pretty strong. Especially with the respect that practical effects get nowadays opposed to digital effects.
Yeah.
Like, even though people don't understand what they're saying when they make that argument, it doesn't change the fact that people really do have some kind of weird admiration for practical effects that they didn't used to.
Oh, for sure.
So I think Magic's still going fairly strong, all things considered.
And Magic is like a regional thing. Like, if you lived more out west and you have areas like Vegas and casinos and stuff like Magic's kind of like that kind of thing where people don't go out and see magicians when they live in fucking North Carolina. Like they go to Atlantic City, they go to Las Vegas, like they go to New York City. Like there are richer city-like hubs where magic is a more glamorous thing in a way it's not in certain other parts of the world.
Yeah, I still want a Zatanna series set in Las Vegas. Just throwing that out there again.
That's so badly. I love Zatanna.
I know, it needs to be a thing. Zatanna, like, Batman has Gotham, Superman has Metropolis, Zatanna's got Vegas on lock. Get it? Because of all her stuff with the chains. Anyway, so Magic's an interesting one. I'm trying to think of other stuff where it's just like, it's either Endangered Artforms. There's the title for the video. Fuck dwindling. Endangered Artforms. Ooh, that's a good title. Titling is not an endangered art form. Not on Geeky Gentleman, it's not. Now I'm just imagining, like, commercials asking you to donate to help this endangered art form, like, take off more. And the arms of an angel plays in the background.
Yes, oh my god. Because I guess my brain keeps shifting to like ways we're doing things as opposed to things we can't do anymore. So like hand-drawn animation.
Oh yes, that's a good point.
But then even more so than hand-drawn animation, like flash animation, and like how 3D and flash animation have kind of taken over. And it's not like it's not like we don't like 2D. It's just that we don't want to pencil everything in the way we used to.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's just incredibly labor intensive in comparison. So it's like when you have to have, okay, I can't believe I'm bringing up this movie. Thief and the Cobbler, ever seen it?
I have no idea what that is.
Okay, there's a reason you don't know what that is, and it's incredibly interesting to look into. You know Vincent Price, right?
Oh yeah, duh.
Vincent Price recorded his lines for this movie decades before his death. The movie did not come out until decades after he died. Which is ridiculous. It was all done in hand-drawn animation, and the guy worked on it on his own for literally decades.
What is
to the point where The Thief and the Cobbler.
Okay.
And it's really interesting because he worked on it and worked on it and worked on it, and finally his animation studio just went bankrupt and he couldn't keep working on it anymore, and it got bought out by Disney. And so Disney quickly rushed to finish Aladdin, which I still like. Aladdin's still a good movie. Quickly rushed to finish Aladdin and gave that a theatrical release, and then, quote-unquote, as a favor to this guy, they finished, quote-unquote finished, The Thief and the Cobbler with the hand-drawn animation segments that needed to be finished, reworked a lot of the story and the dialogue to make it more like Aladdin, and then released it as direct-to-video. And it really did kill the thing. But you kind of understand why animation is always done for the cheapest way to get it done, and why there's not as much respect for hand-drawn animation, because one person making a hand-drawn animated film took literally decades and he couldn't even finish it. And that's ridiculous. Animation is such a labor-intensive art form that anything you can do with the technology to speed it up, just based on the fact that you would need a commune of people devoted to animating a thing for free to get it done for free, because just the idea of having one person do it is completely impractical. You need some kind of backing behind it, some kind of financial support because of all the time that it takes. And so it's such a labor-intensive art form, doing traditional hand-drawn animation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not one of those people that like has some sort of weird preference for the old days of doing things. Like, I prefer digital to film. CGI over practical is fine for me. 3D over hand-drawn animation is fine. It's just doing it one way significantly alters how you're experiencing something. So, like, a thought I had recently is, you almost kind of wish that artists could like work in a vacuum where all the conditions for them are perfect and they get to make the best product that they can. Like, a part of you wishes that, like, hey, let's just get Tom King in a room by himself with no pressure of deadlines or whatsoever, or no communication problems with his artist, and just let him do his story the best way possible. But that's kind of dumb, because problems and pressure and social issues are how any of these stories or any of these art forms are as good as they are. It's not like any great work of art came out of a person having the perfect circumstances to produce it. For a lot of them, it came out of, like, I'm lazy and I don't want to do this, so I'll do this. So,
like, the kind of the best example of that is Toriyama with Dragon Ball Z.
Exactly.
I fucking love this story. I want to tell this story because I fucking love this story. The most famous transformation in anime history comes from Toriyama just not feeling like inking Goku's hair anymore. So he invented the Super Saiyan form. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That way they wouldn't have to spend as much time inking Goku's hair. What the fuck, dude?
Because it's so fucking expensive.
Oh, man. I don't know if you watched the free Comic Book Day special I did a week or two ago, but
I did.
Oh, you did? Did you see me color in manga?
I did. Manga aren't just coloring books.
Yeah, it's secrets revealed to the world. No, I'm sure I pissed people off by doing that, but I thought it was pretty fun.
I did it all the time as a kid. You're cool. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good to know. No, but just generally, you're right. The circumstances under which you are making a thing often influence the thing. Sometimes for the worse. I mean, we've all heard the stories about, like, studio interference on a film destroying the film. But sometimes, more often than I feel people like to admit, for the better.
Exactly. So, like, when it comes to, like, any of these preferences of, like, digital to film or like 2D to 3D or whatever, it's not really a matter, for me at least, of, like, I prefer the old way or I prefer the new way or we need to preserve the old way. It's more a matter of, like, you trying to do it this way gives you certain challenges, and sometimes that makes for some really interesting stuff. Another one that is a dying art form is stop motion animation, because that's insanely hard as hell. And Wes Anderson's got a stop motion film coming out, I think, next year, which I'm really excited for. But it's to the point in technology where if he wanted to make if he wanted to do animation, he could have just done animation. The fact that it's physically going to be stop motion and that they're choosing those difficulties tells you something about the product itself.
Yeah, and there've been, like, it's weird because as stop motion has fallen off, because it used to just be the cheaper way of doing things opposed to hand drawn. Because, like, oh, just fucking build some claymation figures and make it happen. But as stop motion has fallen off, there's such a love for it that we've started getting some of the best stop motion animated films literally ever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, starting with Nightmare, going on to a lot of the stuff over the years, Kubo is fucking beautiful.
It is one of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's like, it's stop motion in 3D, but like it's artistic choices for when to use the 3D animation and stuff. And even the 3D animation, like all its textures and stuff, are based off of stop motion creations.
Yeah, exactly. So, so like a lot of the ways the way art forms, particularly in things like film and TV, things don't die. The processes for doing them just get more refined. And if you choose to go back to a less refined process, then I think it almost makes it more artistic. Like, hand-drawn animation for like 60 years is kind of meaningless. It's only nostalgic when we're not doing it anymore.
Yeah, and like, it's weird because I don't want those to go away. I love 3D animation, obviously, but like, 2D animation has so much respect for me because it's something I can't fucking do. I can't draw to save my life. And a lot of the tenets of 2D animation still apply to 3D animation. Like, a lot of the way that they teach 3D animation is dependent on a lot of the same beginning techniques for 2D. Like, you still have character designs. You still do your character designs in 2D, draw them out, and then you create them in 3D. I think I'm the only person that starts a character design just in 3D. And it shows. I don't do characters very well.
Right.
But at the same time, that's like... That's a tenet of the art form, to do character designs in, 2D drawings and then go to 3D. But that's just used to be what you do. Is you just, okay, you draw the character at various angles first, so that everyone in the studio knows what to go off of. You don't want Bugs Bunny's gloves changing colors every 5 frames. Or Bugs having like 3 lines on his gloves going to 2 lines every couple frames because one guy didn't get the memo. That's a very real possibility.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, and 2D animation can be beautiful in its own way, and it can communicate things that are just naturally harder to do in 3D. There's some tricks in 2D animation where you just draw, like the most famous one is the invisible satchel.
Oh, yeah.
The cartoon character that can just like pull an anvil out of his pocket. That is so unbelievably hard to do and have it look half as good as it does in 2D animation, because you're just slowly drawing the anvil in 2D until you reveal all of it coming out of the pocket. But like in 3D, you have to have the physical object of the anvil in your scene, and it's really hard to just like slowly reveal things. So the best way to do it is to go out of the 3D program with rendered layers and composite it and do masking and stuff. But that's just a needlessly complicated process compared to, okay, we're just going to draw this the one time. There we go.
Yeah.
It's done. I don't know, it's kind of hilarious how that all works out. I have no idea how video games do the invisible satchel. Like, I know the Deadpool game has the invisible satchel. No concept of how they do that.
Yeah,
I can only think of how to do it in compositing layers.
See, that's like one of those ultra-specific questions that I really wish I could ask someone in that industry. Like,
Yep.
it's not... Because, like, they can probably explain to you most of the basic stuff in just like interviews and stuff. But, like, things like the invisible satchel, like, individual frames when it comes to animation, like, these are all kinds of minor things that make a massive difference that no one ever talks about.
Yeah. And that's just inherently fascinating. And it's something you lose. Yes, it's a simplicity thing, but there are other more complex things that are just harder to pull off in 2D animation, and I fear losing those. Like, not only that, but like, I fear losing them because even if the people that know how to do it aren't dying off, animation is a skill that is very much dependent on your ability to sit there and draw. And guess what? That gets really hard for older people to do.
Yeah.
Just naturally, as you age, that is a harder and harder process to pull off.
Right. No, absolutely.
A lot of old animators become cartoonists because they can't sit there and draw out frames every day.
Yeah.
They can only do, a couple things at a time. And, it's sad, but it is something that is physically demanding on them. And so, like, a lot of they could maybe teach it, but it's hard to teach something like that when you can't just show it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's practice. You have to get good at it. So like, sequential art drawing is one thing. Storyboarding is another thing. But like, actively being talented enough to even like make a flip book animation, it requires lots of like warm-up exercises for your hand. You have to really know the things you're drawing. It's part of the reason that like older cartoons had like new characters almost constantly, because if you like limit this how many characters are in a thing and you keep creating new ones over and over again, the artists that were working on them would have more models for them personally to work with and to get used to a certain design, and then scrap it and then move on, so they're not like recycling the same design over and over again.
Yeah.
Like it's difficult. And I mean, I don't have any problems with say Green Lantern the animated series choosing to be 3D just because it's easier. And I don't really have a problem with Young Justice being a 2D animation show as opposed to a 3D animation show. At this point, if you're not a 3D animation TV series or a Flash animation show, then it's because you're consciously making an effort to do something with the way it's animated.
Yeah, but even then, Young Justice is still, it's not traditional 2D animation. It's still
It's
all
not at all.
funneled through computer programs and stuff. I don't know if you watch this, because you're not like a huge Conan fan or anything, but did you ever look into the Flaming Sea?
I did.
Yeah, like, so that's like the perfect example of, yes, Young Justice has 2D animation and hand-drawn elements, but it's still all run through a computer program. So they were able to just switch out Superman's character design for the fucking Bruce Timm Flaming Sea Conan superhero and have him just plop him right in the middle of the scene. They didn't reanimate that scene frame by frame by hand and put Conan in there. No, that was all done with computers. And so there's, like, you're still losing something in the process as fun and easy and fillable as it is. And, like, that's one of the things that disappoints me about a lot of cartoons in the modern day is it is now easier than ever to make them, and unfortunately that is not translated to better quality cartoons. You think that, like, okay, it's really easy to make them, so that means we could make really good quality cartoons and we don't have to worry about whether or not we can, build an audience right away or anything because it's so cheap to make. No. Turns out making something cheap to make means, okay, now we can funnel out more crap. Which is disappointing. What can you do? But yeah, just the whole process of the idea of losing 2D animation on the whole disappoints the fuck out of me. But at the same time, it's so tied to the way that, you need to be able to pay people for their time to animate. And studios naturally will go for the cheapest way to get things done. There's just absolutely no way around that. And, like, so you would need, like, you would need a commune. You would honestly need a commune to, like, just sit there. That's the only way I can think to do animation, 2D animation, without, like, money involved, is you would need a commune of people just committed to animating this thing. And that's probably not going to happen. That'd be like the cult of Bugs Bunny?
Yes, that's exactly what it'd be.
Oh, man. Oh, just random thought, just since I'm thinking about it. So, lady at my work, she's a big metalhead. And she had a band t-shirt for a band called Kill the Rabbit. And all I can think of every time I see her wear that shirt is, kill the wabbit, kill the wabbit.
Oh my god.
So, Nothing
this
to do
is-
with anything, sorry.
we went from like really specific big art things to like smaller and smaller stuff. So I'm gonna make like one more small turn, and after that, I think I'm kind of spent on the topic. But YouTube videos, the 10-minute limit.
Oh yeah, that did create a lot of interesting restrictions on people, didn't it?
It created a lot of interesting restrictions. But then, so my go-to example for this now is Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, which is a story told in 3 acts, released on the internet during the writer's strike, 15 minutes apiece for each, not even 15, it's like 10 minutes apiece for each act. And that breakdown doesn't make any sense unless you know that YouTube used to have a 10-minute limit and there was a writer's strike.
Yeah.
Like that,
And
if I show that to anyone, they don't understand why there are act breaks. Unless you know that history.
And that's fascinating because, like, working within a restriction that later disappears is a weird thing. And so it creates this... It's not a dwindling art form. I don't think YouTube's going anywhere, no matter how hard they try to make the website unusable. I don't feel like YouTube's going anywhere long term. It'll definitely dwindle down, but I don't think like the entire art form of making a YouTube video is going anywhere, just because the whole point of creating the website was there should be a place where it's really easy to upload video content.
Yeah.
So let's do that. I don't think that need will disappear, but at the same time, those original restrictions of, okay, your video can only be 10 minutes and, you know, under a gigabyte, and so it fostered a certain level of amateurism that didn't attract big name studio kind of work, because what studio wanted to make a film that was 10 minutes and they would have to compromise their quality so it could upload to the web? None. No studios wanted to do that back in the day. There are very few, studio uploaded YouTube videos, and the ones that were, well, because they were big studios, they got to break the rules.
Yeah.
But, like, that fostered a level of creativity and amateurism. That's where you got, your Shane Dawsons, your Vlog Brothers, was just these young people in their rooms making weird, funny videos on a no-budget thing, and it didn't matter what the quality of it was or anything. Just the fact that they could entertain you in 10 minutes or less was good enough. And
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
a restriction that's gone away now, and obviously you wouldn't have Geeky Gentleman without this, because God knows I would not upload 10-minute parts of episodes.
I mean, Eric, back in the day, when he was having discussions with other people, uploaded like 20 videos of 10-minute chunks.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
No, I'm not either, but I remember that.
Me too, yeah. I remember when Cap was doing the same thing. But no, I'm not. Fuck that noise.
No, that's too much fucking work. But like,
Right?
so the kind of YouTube skit comedy thing is really different now because of the longer runtime, and I feel like the sort of like the fact that we have no runtime restriction anymore has sort of made it so that it's like the thing where you don't have assigned seats, but everyone sits in the same seat every day anyway. Where we don't have a 10-minute restriction anymore, but most people in like video essays or discussion videos or whatever try to maintain somewhere between 5 to 20 minutes.
Yep. And that's just like that natural thing. I remember Caps talked about this a lot, where he's like, well, just naturally clickability. People won't click on something that's 3 hours long, like, say, an analysis of Avengers Age of Ultron, but they will click on something that's like 20 minutes long.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see you say that, but everyone thinks my analysis is the actual movie, so it's got to 3 million views now.
Dude, I have so many episodes of Geeky Gentleman where I just get really shitty comments because people think it's the movie.
Yep.
But, like, to be fair, Yours says an analysis at the end. Mine says Geeky Gentleman up front. I have no idea what people are thinking. Like, well, just today I got like, it's all in, like, I got 3 or 4 comments in Spanish on this video on the Geeky Gentleman episode on Kung Pao Under the Fist, where people are like cursing me out in foreign languages because they thought it was the movie. Even though it says Geeky Gentleman, Kung Pao Under the Fist 2002, and Cult Films. I don't know why you would think that's the movie. Unless you can't read. Like, even if you don't know Geeky Gentleman's a show, fair enough. Don't expect everyone to know Geeky Gentleman's a show. If it says Geeky Gentleman in front of the video...
Well, people blame you no matter what. Where, like, the thumbnail could be right, and the title could be right, and the runtime, and all of it could be right, and literally the first shot of the thing will tell you that this is not the thing this is not the thing you want to watch, and they'll still blame you.
Yeah, it's
every
I think
time.
it's like 13-year-olds that don't know how to pirate. Like, that's seriously what it is. It's 13-year-olds that don't know how to pirate, or they're not allowed to on their parents' computer. So they're just looking for movies on YouTube, and they get all shitty, and they take their anger out on you. That's my current working theory. Anyway, back to the idea of YouTube restrictions fostering creativity. You know, I don't know if you ever watched, like, Shane Dawson's stuff, but yeah. I got into his videos at first when I was on YouTube, and, like, you know, this is just a kid making videos in his room, and I remember him getting incredibly emotional on his channel at times because of all the support he was getting. And you couldn't do that now. I honestly don't believe that, like, if Shane Dawson started out today making the kinds of videos he was back in, 2005, 2006, I don't think he'd take off. Because YouTube has changed its formatting so much and directed things toward bigger markets that it doesn't want to foster people in their rooms anymore. And that's sad. Yeah. Like, it's really shitty for the company to abandon the people that made it a thing.
And I mean, they're doing that all over the place. A lot of, like, the original big YouTubers have either retired or, like, moved on and worked somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Or, like, they have their own websites and stuff. Patreon's a better source of income now than YouTube, Google ad revenue.
And it's just because Google keeps shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Like that stupid, no cursing restriction.
What
the fuck were they thinking?
That's so dumb. Who the fuck does that?
Fucking morons. Like, okay, well, companies don't want to be associated with certain types of things. Okay, well, then it should be on the company to fucking say, okay, actually, we don't want to advertise our product on this video. That's just basic. Like, I mean, not to sound like a libertarian, but where the fuck's personal responsibility at here, right? Google advertise across the board for us. Okay, we're going to put your Coca-Cola ads in front of this Nazi video. Is that okay? No, that's not okay. Okay, so no Nazi content on YouTube? I mean, I'm not against that, but you should probably not limit what people can say. How about we just, actually watch the things you're going to put our ads in front of? And
well, see, that's the thing, is that YouTube gets so big that watching everything and determining it whether or not it's ethical gets difficult, but then at the same time, terms of use, like, you can set some rules of, like, hey, upload and say whatever, just don't be a Nazi piece of shit about it.
I really think YouTube should put that in their terms of use.
I mean, if I ever made a website, I would. That would literally be in my legal buying document of don't be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Don't be a Nazi.
Get rid of Milan's channel.
I have unsubscribed to that. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Dude, I don't even fucking know. It's just sad. I feel really bad for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, but you're right. Just the whole process of how they've changed it, it's just shooting themselves in the foot, and they're taking away what made them popular in efforts to try to to attract these other traditional markets. But I'm like, you don't understand. What made you popular is you were not a traditional market. Embrace that.
Yeah.
And so the art form of making, you know, the silly YouTube video, like, there's still the viral YouTube videos, but not the sketch stuff has really changed.
Well, and, like, what's viral has gotten very different from, like, compare Chocolate Rain to, like, 3 years ago when the worst death scene ever thing became viral.
Worst death scene ever.
Do you remember that?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it's from an old 70s Turkish movie where it's just a guy getting shot and overreacting in the worst way possible. But, like, that kind of reference humor, as opposed to the skit stuff and, like, the song stuff, like, it seems like the concept of what's viral has shifted very much, and YouTube's terms of use and how YouTube wants to cultivate its audience has not evolved with it. So, like, if something viral wants to be a reference, it's very difficult because of those stupid copyright laws.
Yep.
So, like, viral becomes viral in name only now. The actual reason people wanted to go viral doesn't work anymore. Like, certain news clips and sound bites and stuff like that are viral in a way that, like, 100 impressions in 2 minutes is not anymore.
Yeah. That's just disappointing. It's sad to see, you know, that go away, but at the same time, this seems like something that'll just evolve and new platforms will come up for it. Like, I feel like that's what Snapchat is now. That's different things are replacing that. There's stuff like that on Facebook now. It's not as polished as early YouTube was, and that's saying something. But
Facebook is trying so hard to be Snapchat. It's awful.
Yeah. Have you seen Musically?
Yes.
There's this channel I follow. It's called Cool Nerd, and all he does is just make fun of people for, like, either weird pictures on the internet, or he does these Musically roasts where he'll just, like, watch, like, middle schoolers Musically video and make fun of them. And it's so funny. Like, it's so awkward because all these fucking middle school girls are, like, doing these sexy dances to sex songs and stuff. And, like, you'll have these girls, like, licking their lips and winking at the camera and stuff. And this one girl, she's wearing glasses and an orange sweater, and she does this, like, try to, like, grind dance. And he comes back and goes, "Well, jinkies, Velma!" Because it's so awkward to watch, but that was so fucking funny. But yeah, that's kind of its own thing, too, so... parts of YouTube will be replaced, but I don't think YouTube on the whole will ever go away.
No, I mean, it's the whole broadcast yourself video service thing is just too ingrained in our culture now. Like, now it's a narrative device in movies. Like, the fact that you can upload a video of yourself to the internet is just part of the culture. It doesn't go away.
Okay, I think we're about done on this topic. Dwindling endangered art forms. Man, like, I'm trying to think of the thumbnail for this video. Like, I want to have... What's the name of that lady that South Park made fun of endlessly? Oh.
Which one?
The one with, like, the starving kids in Africa, and she was, like, eating all their food or whatever.
I don't remember.
It's early South Park. I want, like, a picture of her next to, like, an ancient Greek bronze statue that's, like, in a cage, and somehow I'm gonna see if I can find, like, the arms of the angels, like a cover of that to play in the intro now. It's gonna be donate to endangered art forms. Oh man, there might be an intro sketch if I had the time. Damn it. Oh well. There's something that like slowly faded away was Geeky Gentleman intro sketches. I need to do those again. Those were fun.
We need to start writing some of those, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done one in a while. All right. I think I'm about done with this. Steve, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
Not really.
Okay. Interesting topic. Interesting ideas to talk about here. And don't you just feel old?
Oh, God, I feel old. I'm not even that old, but I feel it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, last funny story. So I was at work today, and for those that don't know, my boss is hilariously cheap. Like, he bought used brooms and got mad at us because we left the brooms bristles down on the floor, and that will wear out the bristles on used brooms. So he wants us to hang the brooms so that the bristles don't touch the floor. That's how cheap this man is. Use brooms. He's afraid of wearing down the bristles. Today he was talking to one of the guys in the sales department, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just not feeling all that well. My heart's kind of feeling a little funky, and I'm having some vision issues." So the guy in the sales department was like, "Well, let's get on WebMD and look up your symptoms." And then they do, and he's like, "Okay, it could either be related to stroke or diabetes, so do you want us to drive you to the hospital?" And he's like, No, I think I'm fine. I'm just having like a weird vision thing right now. What kind of vision thing? Oh, just right now I can't really see. Done, that's not normal. He just said it like, you know how sometimes you just stop being able to see? No.
No, I don't know what that is.
But he's so fucking cheap, he doesn't want to go to the hospital. So I might not have a job on Monday.
Oh my god. Yeah, you know those times where you just can't breathe?
Right?
You know, every now and then. Not a big deal.
You know those times when you just can't rhinoceros?
Yeah.
So that was a pretty funny story. Okay. Steve, what are we going to be reviewing next week?
Reviewing. Okay, review topic. Okay, let me check the Geeky Gentleman playlist real quick, because I think I have an idea, but I don't know if you've done it already.
Okay. 400 episodes in. I don't know.
That is so many fucking episodes.
Just goddamn it.
What?
When are we gonna fucking be done with this? When's Geeky Gentleman gonna be over?
We don't have a series.
It's gotten so convoluted at this point. It's gotten so convoluted at this point. Like, one of the original characters suddenly became a Nazi for some goddamn reason.
What the hell, man? That was not a plot line I was looking forward to.
Yeah. Just seemed like it really hurt the heart of the character.
It really... Did this one have a 3D note? That's weird. Okay, have we reviewed The Mask?
No.
Okay, so can we review The Mask?
I mean, are you asking permission?
Yes.
When have I ever said no to a review topic?
I don't know. I'm just asking. Let's review The Mask.
Yeah, we can review The Mask. It's okay, Steve. If you want to review The Mask, we can review The Mask.
Okay, so just bit of context. So my friend Aura and I, she and I are basically unofficial siblings at this point. She literally introduced me to her mother as her brother, and we get in the apartment and watch Jim Carrey movies like every night. And in a span of 2 weeks, we watched The Mask like 3 times, and we quote it to each other all day, every day.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, like, it's obnoxious, and I feel like I know that movie better than I should, and I just kind of want another excuse to watch it.
Works for me.
Cool.
Well, we'll talk about The Mask. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
And I'm the Exile.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen. And we will be discussing things.